Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Dr. the Honorable Chantal Monroe Knight, Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture. Mr. Rodney Grant, Chairman of the Shirley Chisholm Committee. Mr. Chatwin Rice, Program Lead, Sister City Agreement. Other government representatives. Members of the Chisholm family, Miriam, Stacy, and Florette. Welcome here this evening. Thank you for joining us for what we think is a very special occasion as we launch this very special project to honor Shirley Chisholm. Without any further ado, I will introduce Minister Monroe Knight, who will give brief remarks.
Yes. All right. Thank you, as Kafian said, for coming out this afternoon for what is indeed for us an extremely important and special celebrations. This is the launch of our activities for the centennial commemoration of the birthday of Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm and her legacy stands for us as an important marker for women's political participation, women's strength, resilience, and more importantly, her legacy as she had spent approximately 7 years in Barbados for all that she has achieved, and her attributing her achievements to that early grounding that she had here in Barbados is significant. It is important as well, as we know right now we have elections in the United States, and we could be on the cusp of having the first female president, but more importantly, the first Black female president of the US. And that is important and fundamental, particularly when you look at Barbados and we have our own legacy here in terms of female political representation as well. And you know, it is extraordinary that this woman, if you look back at her childhood, if you look back at everything that she has done, born in 1924 to Barbadian mother, Guyanese father, growing up in New York, spending her childhood, a portion of her childhood here from 3 to 9. Those are the formative years of her childhood. But then going on to leave such a deep legacy for all of us. And although that legacy, although that work primarily was done in the US, Shirley became, if I want to remind everybody, the first Black, they call it African American, I'm going to call it Black Congresswoman. The first Black woman to run for a presidential nomination. She was honored by President Obama in 2015 with the highest civilian honor that you can have within the United States. This was a woman who also, as well, championed the cause for the introduction of minimum wage, made sure, championing the cause as well for other working class women. And so that legacy of political representation was not only one that was held within the high echelons of public service, but that she used her voice and advocacy as well for others. Is important. It is an important lesson for us. And particularly at a time when, as a society, we know that we need to have strong images and strong stories of Black women, our color, our heritage, who have achieved as an exemplar for what other young women can achieve is important. And we felt, with all of that context, that we needed as a country to be able to honor Shirley Chisholm, honor that legacy that I spoke about. And as you will hear from Mr. Grant when he comes, we have devised a program of activities intended, we hope, one, to inspire, because that is fundamental, again, to the legacy of Shirley, that we must inspire future generations. One, intended to inspire. Two, educate. Because very often we have people like us who have achieved, very often we don't know. Very often we don't understand. Very often we're not able to identify. And we want the whole of Barbados to be able to identify with that legacy that Shirley Chisholm has left with us. We want to inspire, we want to be able to educate, and also as well, we want to celebrate her achievements. We want to celebrate and we want to invite the whole of Barbados to do so with us through the activities that we have devised. I also want to say that our commemoration of this centennial birthday for Shirley Chisholm is part of a wider government program. I think the whole of Barbados would know, of course, we have the Monument to the Family. And what was the Monument to the Family about? It wasn't just about establishing a structure, but again, it was, as I said, one, about that education. Two, inviting the country to understand, again, that legacy of people who have helped to build this nation. Yeah? And so that monument to the family was also part of government's overall frame to build national consciousness and also as well for Barbadians to be able to identify with those people that are nation builders as well. And we've done several other initiatives, the renaming of the Bridgetown bus terminal, again, in the name of Granville Williams. The cabinet has approved for the establishment of a committee that will look at monuments and other significant sites as well, again, to make sure that we re-examine the extent now to which those places and streets and things that we celebrate are in step with who we are as we emerge as a republic as well. The Division of Culture also has a registry of historic places, and the intent again is to layer on top of the broader national initiatives at the very community level to be able to identify again those nation builders that come again from communities, those places and those sites as well. So this celebration being part of an overall national agenda and one that the Division of Culture is undertaking. Finally, I want to say to you as well that these initiatives, again, that you would hear from Mr. Grant, has been done in partnership. So this is not just something, again, we started to plan about late last year or so. But again, we have made sure that we have involved those within New York that have been making sure that the legacy of Shirley carries on, making sure that we are able to build coherence. So very happy that we have Mr. Rice, who will speak to the sister-sister agreement that we will be signing as a government, but the city of Bridgetown, in particular, will be signing. And again, so all part of a larger frame. I also want to finally thank the Division of Culture and the committee that was set up, again, led by Mr. Rodney Grant, but involving the Archives Department and the National Library Service and the National Culture Foundation, all working together in order then to be able to deliver these events. I'm especially pleased, Miriam, Stacy, and Florette, I am especially pleased that you are here with us at this launch. It's always, I think, very emotional as well when you are doing things at the national level, but then when you connect very much with family as well. Had the same moment when we were doing Jackie Opal, and having his kids there. And I hope that you feel that when we announce the activities that we are doing honor to her legacy, and that we are genuine in our attempts to make sure, again, that we highlight her tremendous contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. And Minister would have spoken about the connections and the partnerships that we have with this project. And to tell you about one of the major activities happening is Mr. Rice.
Good afternoon, everyone. To build on what Senator Dr. Chantal Monroe Knight stated in relation to the legacy of Shirley Chisholm, the ethos of the signing of the Sister City Agreement is to support beyond just the setting up of monuments and physical structures to keep her legacy alive through development programs and projects, which will seek to empower, for example, young females, pioneer and push education within Bridgetown, but overall, overarchingly, it would benefit Barbados. So the Sister City Agreement touches on many aspects in relation to technology, crime prevention, at-risk youth, because we're cognizant of the fact that Mrs. Chisholm was very passionate about the youth. So this agreement will not be an agreement where we sign and there's no momentum, there's no development. Minister Lane, representative for the city of Bridgetown, is very passionate about this signing. And one of the things we will do our best to her family here is to highlight her legacy through the transformation of lives, whereby we pool resources between ourselves and New York. We share information in relation to best practices, and also we seek to continue the work that Ms. Chisholm has when she was the Congresswoman of Bedford-Stuyvesant, and when she was advocating, when she was running for presidency. We will seek to continue her work through projects and programs that will transform and empower the lives of persons in Bridgetown and to a greater extent the nation of Barbados. And we also want to highlight to Barbados the contribution she has made, and we are looking forward and so excited in relation to the type of programs that we'll be implementing, and just to underscore the fact that the populace of Bridgetown will not be left out. They would have an input in relation to some of the programs, because we don't want to come and say, well, this is a program, and without their having an input, and also lend to the as we transform the persons within the environs of Bridgetown and nationally, that you will also witness the transformation of Bridgetown itself into all the potential that it can be and whatnot. So Minister Lane is extremely excited, myself as well, and the other team members. And as Senator Monroe Knight highlighted, this is a part of a bigger framework to maintain her legacy beyond monuments, beyond statutes, but really and truly to actually for her to be, with God and see that we are here on earth carrying on her legacy. Women are being empowered, fathers are being empowered, children are being pulled from potential of being wayward, and intervention programs are being implemented under her name, under the ethos and all that she stood for and whatnot. So we are extremely proud, and we welcome Barbados October the 9th to be a part of it and to be with us as we journey to keep her legacy alive through these programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. And now to give us some details on all the activities that we have planned for this project is Mr. Grant, the chair of the Shirley Chisholm project.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And Kathy is part of my small team, as well as Erica Hinkson, who's not here, along with the others that Minister mentioned from the library and archives and NCR. Before I introduce the programs, I like telling stories. Sophie would know I tell stories. Before the day start at Pinelands, I would go sit and tell stories. I find stories contextualize things really well. And I come from theater. So, stories are synonymous with me. So, the minister mentioned about this project being part of the broader vision of government in terms of how we memorialize people and utilize this process to build the consciousness. And she said that, I remember growing up in the Pine and, we having these very British names of people and trees that represented where we lived. As simple as it is, it kind of helps to form how you see yourselves and identity. So we had like Maple Path and St. Anne's Road, St. Anne's, Phillips Road, St. Elizabeth, Regent Hill, all very connected with British history. And, I was thinking, but it'd be good if we had a name after Raul Clark. He was one of the early first Olympians from the Pine. We had TC, who was from the Pine. And if we do these things more, therefore our children make greater connections with where they came from, and it's easier so that legacy lives on. We wouldn't have to then keep telling the stories orally. The stories are imprinted in the streets and in buildings, and it makes that continuation of history much easier. So I just wanted to tell that story. And I'm sure most of you, when you think about where you live and you reflect on the names of streets and places and buildings, we can do better in terms of, when we think about Jackie and simple people, but who became very great. And we think about Shirley, and she was a simple woman, but look at the impact that she made on the world, and on Barbados and on New York and USA in particular. So we can look at the lives of ordinary people and we can make them big and we can make them memorable. And we can use that legacy to build out the consciousness that Minister spoke about. So we have built out a number of activities to celebrate her 100 years. And we started this process way back in July in terms of a social media campaign to kind of reintroduce Shirley Chisholm to the Barbadian public. We felt that Barbadians need to be reminded about who she was, and therefore we started this campaign. It's a mostly social media campaign, and you can go to our IG handle, Shirley, Celebrating Shirley 100, and you can look back at a number of the stories we have posted. We've posted videos, we've posted infographics, I have it right. So you can go back and look at a number of these things. And the whole idea behind this is not only why we reintroduce you to Shirley, is also to build out that educational component about what her life meant and what it should mean to you as a Barbadian. The way how you interpret it is important. Then on September the 16th, through the National Library Service, we'll be launching an art competition. Now, it's open to all Barbadians, and we are asking you to interpret the life of Shirley under the theme celebrating her contribution to the political and social development of the U.S. And you can interpret this through dance, through music, through poetry, through fine art, however you feel to. And this competition launches on the 16th of September, and it closes on October the 31st. Well, we have a very prestigious first prize that we want to offer a trip to New York, where you would go and engage in sites and places that are synonymous with Shirley. There's the Shirley Chisholm Park, there's the Shirley Chisholm Museum, and such like. So we're building out an itinerary for hopefully who will be the winner. Now, these entries can be sent in various formats. It's the JPEG, the MP4, and PDF formats. Then, also on September the 16th, again, the National Library Service, we are featuring a national online collection of books. So far, we have sourced 27 books related to Shirley, which will be posted on the EBSCO platform. And there are also several periodicals, newspapers, reports, and reviews. So again, you could go, the National Library Service will very shortly be posting a flyer which you can go to. You can see how to access these various books, these various periodicals and newspapers and whatnot. And I will also say that the persons who are interested in participating in the arts competition can also utilize this site for research. because you will need to have research on Shirley, her contribution. So you can go to the site, pull down, look at all these various books that we have, the various reviews and newspaper clippings and stuff. You utilize that as research to formulate what your entry would look like. You have already heard from Chatwin in terms of the sister agreement that we are doing in collaboration with Minister Lane, so I won't go into that. November the 1st, we'll be doing special lighting ceremony. Normally on November the 1st, we do the Bridgetown lighting ceremony where we light up various buildings in the city. This year, because of Shirley, we are extending it to New York, but particularly Manhattan. So they're going to be lighting the Freedom Tower, what used to be the Twin Towers. So they're going to be lighting the Freedom Tower in Manhattan. We're going to be lighting Vauxhall Primary in Christchurch. So we're going to be having, which is now the Shirley Chisholm Primary School. Thank you very much. Right, thank you very much for that. So we'll be doing this simultaneously. So we'll be doing the Shirley Chisholm Primary School in Vauxhall, Freedom Towers in Manhattan, and Bridgetown simultaneously. So only this morning we did the site visit in the city, and we agreed that we would just do a slight delay. So we say simultaneously, but you're going to have like maybe a 30-second delay between each. But you'll be seeing these three sites come alive, being lighted in honor of Shirley on November the 1st. What's also important that on this day we will have remarks from Yvette Clarke, Congresswoman, as well in New York. Normally, this event, which is planned by the Community Independence Celebration Secretariat under the Ministry of Youth, they normally have, this event is normally attended by the President, and we are hopeful that she will be there as well this year, the President and the Minister and members of Cabinet as well. Then on November the 21st, we're going to be having a special lecture series. Now, earlier this year, last year, we did some interesting research around women and in terms of freedom fighters, and we're utilizing that research also because of all the things that Minister spoke about, the importance of Shirley and what she brings to in terms of women and the fight that how we are placing women at the center of political discourse. And therefore, we'll be doing a special lecture called Women at the Center of Resistance. We'll be having a special remarks by Dr. Erna Broadber. She's a Jamaican writer, sociologist, and social activist. She's also the author of 5 novels and works as a freelance writer and researcher and lecturer in Jamaica. At that event, you also have remarks by Minister Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, and also you would have the research, key aspects of the research also being presented by the researcher Natasha Bino as well. Then on November the 23rd, we'll be having a genealogy archives market and exhibition. Now, this is important since we have members of the family for Shirley here. And the title for that genealogy market is called Her Centenary, Her Legacy. That opens on October the 23rd and runs right down. Well, it opens, the genealogy market itself is October the 23rd, but then the exhibition remains until December the 7th. Yeah? Now, when I think about the this particular event, I look at Miriam. I was saying to her before, huh? It's her birthday? Which one? The 77th. Now look at that. And see, and I pick on Miriam. Because when I looked at Miriam and I walked into the room, I said, what is Shirley? And if you reflect on the picture behind us, behind Minister, and you look at Miriam, it's Shirley, you can't get away from it. So, when we take about the genealogy market, this is what it's about, tracing your family, looking at those interesting people who are part of your lineage. So really, we expect to see you at that and to see the family. Stacey, bring the family along. I like to hold you responsible. And this is open to all Barbadians. Come, you participate in this this 2-week experience. So for us, those are the activities that we're hosting. And we hope that, all Barbadians can find it within them to participate. As we said, the crux of this is the whole idea of education, building out a consciousness of who we are as a people. So although we're celebrating Shirley, we're celebrating the legacy of great Barbadian people and how we can utilize this greatness to build out consciousness of our people and where we go as a nation in terms of building the national identity. So thank you very much.
My name is Miriam Angela Burrows. I am Shirley Chisholm's first cousin. Her mother is my aunt, and my father was her uncle. So we are two first cousins. I don't know much of her lifestyle because she was a big girl to me. She 100 years coming, and I'll be 74 the week after. She's 100. Well, I think it's a good idea, right? Sometimes I used to have some doubts about it, but as Barbadian children would like to know the history and especially school children, how the school got that name and vice versa. But I think it's a good initiative because history must continue, right? And the only way you can say something or you pass on to your children is the history of another person.